plank of audacious leadership is literally have to be different idea, just kind of like it's in your veins. You have a be different IV drip following you every path, every step of your life. So that's a be different thing, and you got to live that. The second is to execute. I mean, the audacious leadership piece is not about planning. In fact, I have written a lot about this on my blogs, but I believe that heading west is the best strategic plan you could have. And people think it's crazy, right? Because they come out of school and say, no, you got to have precision, blah, blah. Who can be precise in a world that's imprecise? Can you help me understand that? Nobody can, right? So I say head west, and that's all about focusing on execution and learning as you go. So I'm going to head west, and I will learn and discover where the appropriate place on the West Coast is for me. And I'll never know that when I start out, right? So a huge piece on execution. I mean, my view is if you can't execute it, I don't want to talk about it. Pontification is the enemy of execution, and it's the enemy of performance, quite frankly, because while you're pontificating, somebody else is eating your buns, right? Because they're doing stuff, right? The third piece of audacious leadership is all about serving. A lot of people talk about servant leadership as a leadership style, which I think is ridiculous. For me, servant leadership is a strategic issue about how I can execute better. Because if I can serve people better, they will do a better job. And guess what will happen? They will execute the plan better, and performance goes up. I mean, so all these HR dudes out there talking about servant leadership as the latest management style, right, to actually get more power. And I've read that. Can you imagine? You serve people not to get more power. Right. You serve them so they can do their jobs better, so that the performance of your organization, for which leaders are responsible, improves. So that is a huge piece of servant leadership. And the last piece of audacious leadership is what I call do it yourself. But like, I'm an advocate of micromanagement in certain situations. And of course, this goes exactly against the flow, right? Like, everybody coming out of business school is taught that delegate, don't get in the faces of people, blah, blah. I think that's hogwash. There are certain things that leaders should delegate, but I would say those are kind of like operational day-to-day things, right? But what's happening is people are taking the delegation thing too far, and so they're actually, in my opinion, abdicating their roles as leaders, because they're delegating strategic things. Like, let me give you an example. In my world, I would architect the customer moment with people on the front line. I would be personally involved in saying, okay, if we're going to blow the socks off and leave our customers breathless, which was essentially our strategy, I need to put my fingerprints on that. Why? Because I'm the leader. And if I don't do that, I can't influence execution. And by the way, who is responsible for execution? Buck stops here. Doesn't go anywhere else, right? I can't say, well, the textbook says I should, as a good leader, I should delegate. No, I didn't do that. I dove in. I micromanaged very, very specifically those things that were related to execution.